$28 billion. That's not how much money I have, although I wish that were the case. That's how much money Microsoft has in cash in the bank. And that's not even counting the $79 billion total that they have in investments. Yes, cash and investments. So Microsoft, Xbox can do whatever they want. They can throw spaghetti at a wall and hope that something sticks. So welcome into today's video. I wanted to talk about this massive Microsoft announcement this weekend, and it didn't catch anybody off guard because we knew that it was coming, that Xbox, yes, was going to announce their own handheld gaming device. They were going to partner with ASUS, roll out a version of the ROG Ally that would play Xbox games, Game Pass games on it. It would have a dedicated Xbox button. So we knew this was coming. This was something we talked about here on the show a while ago, and it had been long rumored to be the case. However, we won't get to see it until the end of the year, fully. That's when we're likely to see it rolled out. I titled this video, Xbox Still Has Time to Win the Handheld War, because I'm a glass half full kind of person, and I truly believe that that's the case. There have been so many people writing off Xbox, Microsoft, saying, they're so late to the game. They're so late to the game to get into the handheld PC gaming space. So today I wanted to talk about that and go through exactly why I think that they're not late to the game. In fact, they might be just right. So let's dive into it. Thank you guys so much for subscribing. If you love talking about games, video games, retro games, that's what I love to do here. Just talk about things that interest me. I'm a 48-year-old dad. I got 3 kids, got a busy life, got a busy job. So when I can game, I really like to pick up a device like a Steam Deck or a Nintendo Switch, and I like to really just be able to get into my games. I don't want to have to futz with anything. I don't want to dive into Windows. I hate Windows with a passion. I really do. And so I've used all manner of Windows devices that are sort of supposed to be portable Windows devices over the years. I mean, remember the launch of like Windows 8? Oh my God, the Surface tablets. They had 2 different versions of the Surface tablets. It was really bizarre back in the day. Oh my gosh, the Windows Phone. I had a Windows Phone. I used that for testing for quite a while. And it's always been bizarre. It's always been a bizarre version of Windows, and they've never quite nailed it. But I have to say this weekend with this launch of this new device, and the UI actually looks like they learned their lesson here. I can't believe the Xbox team got a chance to skin a version of Windows that removed a lot of the garbage and mouse and keyboard garbage that I hate with Windows, the point and click experience, and looked maybe at what Steam was doing and said, you know what, we can make it pretty damn easy to run on this device. So I think Microsoft still has time, and it doesn't have to be first to the game. Let me explain why. Like Apple, okay? So I covered Apple for many, many years. Apple sits back and they wait. They wait for the market to mature, and then they look at these devices and they say, that sucks, that sucks, that sucks. Can we come into this space with an even better experience? And that's exactly what they did with the iPhone. Regardless of how you feel about Apple, it doesn't matter. The argument is pretty much, you know, that conversation is finished now, right? Like, we know that Apple, of course, redefined the smartphone space years after we had flip phones and smartphones, Blackberries. I mean, I was using a Windows phone. I was using a Windows awful phone at the time for testing when Apple rolled out the iPhone, and it transformed everything. Wait a minute, you don't mean I have to like use like a stylus with like a point and click thing here on a Windows phone? Like I can just use my finger with like large icons and it actually looks really nice and it's easy to use and it's intuitive? That's what Apple does. And they wait years to do it. Look at the smartwatch, right? There was plenty of smartwatches. I had a Pebble. Do you guys remember the Pebble smartwatch? I had that for a long time. And you know, then of course, I think it was Samsung or somebody rushed to the market because they knew that Apple was making a watch. So they threw some crappy circular looking one. It was really awful. But Apple was sitting back watching the smartwatch scene, the health and fitness space, and they rolled out the Apple Watch, and it became the most successful smartwatch in the world. Apple does that all the time. So what can Microsoft do here? Can Xbox sit back, watch how Valve rolled out the Steam Deck? It's 3 years old. It's successful, but it's not a runaway success. Most people, like I was on the plane the other day playing the Steam Deck, and the stewardess was walking by and she asked me what I want to drink, and then she said, "Oh," she said, "Is that the new Switch? Switch 2? Is that the new Nintendo Switch?" Most people have no idea what a Steam Deck is. You and I know what a Steam Deck is, but most people have no idea. So this is a nascent market, right? This is a growing market right now. So there's an enormous opportunity for Microsoft and Xbox to come in here and kind of iterate, try some things, learn from their mistakes, and grow. And let's be honest, gamers right now want a native Xbox handheld experience. I know I do. Trying to get like Game Pass games on a Steam Deck, you can do it. It's not great. You can get Game Pass games on other devices. You can do it. It's not great. A native Game Pass experience on a device would be a game changer for Microsoft and a great experience for all of those people that love Xbox and have a Game Pass subscription. Sure, you can sit down and play it on your console. You can sit down and play it on your PC. But what if I want to travel? I want to play some Xbox games. Where can I do that? You can't really do it. So I'm not going to talk much about the hardware here. I mean, it looks fine. It looks like a ROG Ally. It looks like, an Xbox controller sitting aside a large screen, which is similar to what the PlayStation Portal did, and everyone lambasted that. It's ugly. It's horrible. Then it actually became a pretty big success for Sony. But there you go. There's a streaming experience. You can play, obviously, cloud streaming games on the PlayStation Portal, and you can also play your PS5 games streaming over your local Wi-Fi connection. It's okay. It's a little clunky. If you've got a good Wi-Fi connection, great, then it'll work. But to have a native Xbox experience where I get to download my games onto a device, regardless of how it looks right now, again, this is the first one out of the gate. Can they iterate on this and make it a sleeker design, work with ASUS or other hardware manufacturers to make it an improved display, improved experience? We'll have to see. The reason I started talking about Microsoft's war chest at the beginning, $29 billion in cash and cash equivalency, is because Microsoft owns Windows. And here we have an opportunity for the Xbox division to have a skinned version of Windows, removing all of the point-and-click nonsense that we don't need with a handheld experience, where we can just launch the game and get right into the game. Now, this is something, again, similar to what Apple did with iOS and macOS before it became macOS. And these operating systems clashed. And Steve Jobs famously was furious with the Mac OS development team. And he came in famously to the office, and he had an iPad and he had a Mac laptop. And he kind of threw it down on the ground, threw it down on the desk, and he said, "Why can't this," pointing to the laptop, "start up and work like this?" And he pointed to the iPad. Because the iPad instantly turns on, and you're right there. You're instantly into that experience. You're right there into your apps, your email, whatever you want. But the laptop, when it was old, running Intel chips back in the day and all that cruft of the Mac operating system for decades, really, it took forever to boot up, and it was a totally different experience than launching the iPad. And so what Steve Jobs did, what Apple did, was kind of had those two divisions kind of duke it out. And who won? iOS. iOS won. And then we have macOS. macOS, of course, is an offshoot, really a derivative of iOS. And now we have iPad OS, but it all came from iOS. Gone are the days of that heavy macOS. And now maybe this could be the future of Microsoft. Gone could be that heavy experience with all of that legacy cruft, I'll call it. Some people call it bloat. That's not really what I would say. It's such a legacy operating system that's not meant for a handheld device. But the reason I say that this is still early in my experience is because, let's be honest, the numbers for the Steam Deck sales is between like 3 million and 5 million, somewhere in there. All of PC handhelds maybe totals like 5 million PC handhelds sold. Most people don't know about them at all. It's a niche audience, if you will. The Switch sold over 130 million units. And in the first day, the Switch 2 sold 3 million. So in one day, the Switch 2 sold as many Steam Decks. Isn't that crazy? That's unbelievable, actually. So there's a massive audience out there that I think is waiting to have a PC handheld experience that speaks to them. And it's totally being underserved right now in a lot of ways. And I think there's a big opportunity when you see the rise of PC gaming. PC gaming just dwarfs console gaming by a landslide. So I think there's enormous opportunities for Xbox to come in here and really dominate this space if they're smart about it, or at least be a major player in this space. But I don't believe when people are like, they're too late to the game. They're too late. They can't possibly catch up to what Steam Deck is doing. I don't buy that. I don't buy that for a second. Now, the Steam experience is a whole other animal. Maybe we do a whole separate video on that. People buying their Steam games. So if we're allowed to have access to our full Steam library on this device, have access to Game Pass without an issue, and it all just works, that's pro-consumer. That's amazing. That's sort of like what the anti-Nintendo Switch, right? Where you're locked into that Nintendo ecosystem. Or that's like Apple, where you're locked into that App Store experience on those devices. To have a device where it's a device, as Microsoft announced this weekend, where you get to play your games however you want. And we're not going to limit your ability to do that. Steam games, great. Xbox Game Pass games, great. Cloud streaming, great. You want to run NVIDIA GeForce Now on here? Great. All of it on one device. That's exciting. That's very pro-consumer. And I think that's what a lot of people love about like the Android experience, using an Android device. It's in many ways had been pro-consumer because you have an open ecosystem and it's not locked down like Apple. One more thing I'll say about the hardware, and I think why Microsoft and ASUS with their ROG Ally branding and architecture here can really in many ways dominate this space. If this hardware is as strong as we think it is, we don't know what battery life will be and all of that, but if it's as strong as we think it's going to be, this could really be the dominant handheld from a AAA perspective. You mean to tell me that I can play these new AAA games on a handheld device? And I can jump back and forth between my PC and my Xbox Series X or S and play these games and have all of those cloud saves work perfectly across these things? That would be phenomenal. But right now on the Steam Deck, a lot of these AAA games don't play at all. Some of them kind of, if you want to squeeze it out, you could sort of chug along with them. But again, there's really no dominant player in the PC handheld space that's going to be able to play these large launch AAA titles. So can they do it? The Switch 2 can't do it. The Steam Deck can't do it. The PlayStation Portal can't do it. Can this new ROG Xbox Ally X, God, that's such a terrible name. Can we come up with a new name for this thing, please? Can that do it? Let me know your thoughts on this. But I'm really excited. I wanted to talk about this because I'm really excited about this. Anytime we can sort of push the envelope forward for games and gamers, and also that customer experience, which is, I think this is a really pro-consumer device. It seems that way. Just wait until we see what the price tag will be. Maybe that'll change everything by then. So let me know, guys, is Microsoft too late to the game, or is this just the beginning of the PC handheld revolution? Are they kind of early to the game? Let me know down below. Thank you guys so much for subscribing, and we'll see you back here real soon.